trusted partner is somebody that's always there for you, that has integrity like a rock. They're going to back you up and check your six for the threats. And when you call out for help, they're not going to turn away and run. Together we fly, fight, and win in the Air Force. Together we fly, fight, and win in business and life. This is what being a wingman is all about. About pushing up the throttle to full power and building trusting partnerships so you can walk the flight line with your wingmen and become a success so that you'll never get shot down.
Lieutenant Colonel Waldo Waldman.
And what does it mean to be a wingman?
Lieutenant Colonel Waldman, welcome.
Great to be here.
Now, you have been quoted as saying, words cannot describe the passion you had for flying and living your dreams, facing your fears. And then you took those experiences, you left the Air Force, you helped others. Now, can you tell us a little bit about your passion, how you took what you've learned and why you've changed your career paths?
So for me, it's all about challenge, as many of the folks who are watching or listening to this. It's about waking up every day and having something that you're striving to overcome, some fire in your belly that says, I want to go out and kick some butt today and grow as a person. And, you know, growing up in New York, having, you know, a blue collar, you know, old school upbringing, 3 brothers and a sister, an identical twin, beating each other up growing up, you know, that competition, that fire was really, really important for me. And, you know, I loved the military. I loved the Air Force, but the fighter world, strapping into a $35 million F-16 and being pushed to my limits was something that to me was a no-brainer. There was nothing I wasn't going to be able to do, or nothing that I would do for me to say, I'm going to get in that jet and I'm going to push myself and grow. So that's kind of how I kind of set the tone of my life, and no better place to be challenged than in a jet flying in combat. And it just, it paved the way for a lot of my success in my life.
But, you know, in your book, Never Fly Solo, you emphasize the power of having wingmen in your life to overcome challenges. How can that relate to us in the business world?
And so I'm going to show a photo on the screen here of my squadron mates from the 79th Fighter Squadron. We're all on the tarmac getting ready to fly. I'm third from the right, and all the way to the left is my commander. But the concept of having wingmen, men and women in your life who you can go to for help when the missiles of change and challenge come, that is the premise of what I talk about. And if you look at these folks that are flying with me, we were all committed. We were all well-trained. We all had core values: integrity, trustworthiness, attention to detail, passion for winning. And so when you walk into that squadron, there's a culture there of trust. There's a culture there of mutual support. We'll talk about this in a little bit. And so what I talk about in my book, Never Fly Solo, in my keynotes and coaching practice, is how to create this culture of accountability and trust and collaboration. So when challenge does come, you'll be able to pivot, adapt, and grow. And it's not an easy thing to do. You know, if you look on the screen, we have this concept called check 6. Have you heard that expression before, Jason?
Yes.
Okay. And so check 6 means you got to check behind you. And so if you look at this aircraft here, F-16, you're strapping in this plane, and guess what? In this tiny little cockpit, you can't see what's coming behind you.
Right.
You don't know what's coming at your 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock's out front. You could see the threat. You could see stuff coming at your left and right, but in your rear, you can't see where the threat's coming. However, if you have a wingman checking your 6, looking out his or her cockpit, they can see that blind spot. They can call out the missile to you and tell you to take action, because at the end of the day, if you're a leader, if you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, whatever, you can't see the big picture. So collaboration with your men and women, your wingmen, your trusted partners is key. And what better place to do it in commercial real estate, right? Where you need a very 360-degree view of your business environment, of the sale, of your commercial clients, et cetera. So that's kind of like the big picture perspective of why the men and women support each other in the Air Force flying jets, and how it could relate on the ground where you may not have the big picture in sight.
Support staff, colleagues, and I think that's it's a good comparison. In your book, you also have acronyms for the word fear. Can you describe them, and how are you able to apply them in flight and in life?
So we can all imagine flying in combat, getting surface-to-air missiles launched at you is a pretty serious thing. I've had multiple launches on my aircraft in combat, watched my life flash before my eyes, had missiles explode pretty close to my plane, and watched as actually some men came back from battle, literally going multiple shades of gray after a few weeks of being in battle. The stress is intense. You know, when you're flying F-16s and training over South Carolina or Arizona, it's one thing, but when you're flying at 500 knots and 550 feet over mountainous terrain in Kosovo, it'll give you the big pucker factor. So there was a lot of fear. And for me, it wasn't just the missiles. It wasn't just potentially becoming a POW or getting shot at. Many people don't know that I almost died in a scuba diving accident a few years into my flying career and developed claustrophobia, panic attacks, anxiety as a fighter pilot, which is pretty intense. And so you can imagine if you're claustrophobic strapping in for a 7-hour night mission over Iraq, what that can do to you. So facing fear, not just will happen when missiles are real, you're getting shot at. It won't just happen when you lose a deal or you're not hitting your revenue goals, or God forbid you go through a divorce. It happens in a lot of the things that go on in our head. The fears that are unanticipated, the psychological BS that we all deal with, especially looking at the pandemic now, when we wake up with uncertainty and doubt, the economy is flustering, right? The commercial industry has been hit so hard the last year. There's a lot of folks watching and listening to this who are in the dungeon of despair, qualified, competent, maybe kicking ass in the past, but they're like, what am I going to do? I got to sell virtually. I've had my business is shot. I'm losing my customers. My teammates are gone. I'm struggling. And so fear will kick you in the butt. It will strangle you and paralyze you from taking action. And for me, once again, it was very psychological. So when you talk about the fear acronym, there's two definitions. You can forget everything and run, right? Which is not what leaders do, not what top guns do in life, not what the best business men and women do. Or you can focus your energy and accept responsibility. You focus your energy on the task at hand, on the fact that you've got wings on your chest, a business to run, employees to take care of, kids to feed. You focus your energy and you get maniacally disciplined in your habits, your patterns. You're confident in your skills. You are focused because you sweat and prepared. But you also accept responsibility on the fact that you made a choice to be an entrepreneur or a business owner or whatever it is in your life, or president of an association, or the parent of children, or a partner of a spouse. You've got to accept responsibility. And what I did in combat, and what helped me accept responsibility, Jason, is when the proverbial crap hit the fan, and I would have those panic attacks, and they'd bubble up at 30,000 feet over Iraq, knowing that I had 5 more night hours of flight time. What I would do is I would focus on my team. I'd focus on those men and women who I took into battle that day. I'd focus on that student who needed me to lead him or her through their training, through the battle. And what happened is that I distracted myself from myself. I distracted myself from this noggin here, the killer of motivation and success, your mind, which also could be the beneficiary or the success tool, our mind. And I just thought outside my cockpit and focused on who needed me. And I said, there's no way I'm not going to continue this mission without taking care of that person who I'm leading into battle, who is depending on me. So you got to ask yourself, Jason, as an association owner, as a business owner, as a peer, friend, mentor, partner, spouse, is who is depending on you, and what are the results if you fail to do your job? And when you think in that context, you can focus your energy and accept responsibility and become present at the task at hand, dodge the missiles, and still kick some serious ass.
Oh, and using that fear, not letting your fears define you, but defying them and improving yourself. That's a great words to live by. You know, the concept of lift and drag are certainly fundamental to flight. You have a unique way of describing how lift and drag affect us in our lives. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to show a photo here. That's an F-22 Lockheed Martin. I just spoke to Lockheed Martin a couple of days ago in my virtual office here. It was pretty cool. Leaders of a 30,000 person division of space. But you can see this F-22, the power, it's an afterburner. You don't really see anything hanging on the wings, do you, Jason, right? Nothing's there, right? All the weapon systems and the missiles are embedded inside of the plane. Now I'm going to show you this quote unquote antiquated F-16 compared to the F-22. You got radar systems, missiles, and all that. Sometimes you even have tanks on here, and this causes drag. The wind, the flow of wind over these wings and these missiles drag it down. And so what you have to do to put an F-16 in the sky, you have to overcome this drag, the weight of the aircraft, the missile systems, et cetera. And you need thrust and aerodynamics to get that plane airborne to fly. Isn't that pretty cool, right? So the key to fly is to minimize drag, maximize lift. Now, if you think about what in your life is dragging you down or lifting you up, the economy, the uncertainty, virtual selling, COVID-19, challenging relationships, your health and fitness because you turned into a slug and you're depressed and became a mint chocolate chip guru like I did over the last year, or you find what lifts you up, your relationships, the positive things that you're listening to, the books that you read. I read 365 Science of the Mind, Ernest Holmes. I love it. I'm a very spiritual person. I don't know whoever's watching this, what they believe in, but I was reading this to my wife. Every morning I say a prayer. I get focused on what's important. I once again distract myself from the chaos, the BS, the news, and I get maniacally focused on success. Then I work out. I drink green smoothies. Doesn't mean that I don't like chocolate and hang out, but you have to find in your life what is going to lift you up, your motivation, your inspiration, et cetera, and then eliminate the things that drag you down, the negative relationships, your habits and patterns in your life that don't allow you to succeed. And so I think it's a daily discipline. I think for any leader to really make an inventory of the things that you do, you see, you hear, and eliminate the negative, maximize the positive, and most importantly, how you can be the lifter to others. I'm going to show you a little coaching thing here. You got some in the fighter squad. What was so great about being with the men and women who I flew with was that we were always coaching and mentoring each other. Always. The culture was about support. It was about giving your wings away. And as a leader of your association, Jason, as a leader in business, and for the folks who are out there leading their families, their communities, make sure you are that lifter, the encourager, the ambassador of hope and confidence and courage that your teammates and maybe your customers need as you help them navigate the precarious world that we're all in today.
So to piggyback on what you're saying there, one of your favorite motivational calls to action is push it up. Now, how did you come up with that? And explain exactly what that means.
So I'm going to show you this picture again. I'm third from the right over there. And then all the way to the left is my commander, General Haas Hyatt. This was us on the tarmac in Saudi Arabia. And I was getting ready to fly one of my first combat missions in Iraq. As you can anticipate, I was pretty scared to death, cotton mouth, panicky. And basically, when we flew together, we were 30,000 feet line abreast with a stack, crossing the forward edge of the battle area in Iraq and monitoring that no-fly zone. And then the radar controller called out, "Hey guys, you've got enemy aircraft on your nose. 200, 150, 100 miles. They crossed the no-fly zone and broke the law. And Colonel Hyatt and I knew that we needed to go after them." And then he said something that would shift my perspective. He said, "Wingman, commit," which were the Air Force code words for push it up. We're going to full power. We're breaking the speed of sound. And those aircraft are going to get shot down, or they're going to turn around, because our motto in the U.S. Air Force is not fly, fight, and survive. It's fly, fight, and win. And our job in business and life is obviously to win, right? To hit the target, maybe stiff on the competition, those enemy aircraft coming in. And sometimes that means, as you all know, to say no when you want to say yes, because you may not be the right fit, because your reputation and your integrity are more important than the sale. But that conversation and that push it up mindset is so important in life, because we every day have a choice when we commit to go all in, to go after the enemy and kick butt and fly, fight, and win for our families, our clients, and most importantly, for the wingman or wingman staring back at us in the mirror. And that is to resist the temptation to ease up on the throttle and abort instead of pushing it up and taking risks and going after the enemy. So push it up, Jason and listeners, is a mindset. It's a way of being. It's saying, I'm full in. I'm setting the tone. I am emulating excellence in my life every single day. Because if we start pulling back on the throttle, when fear, doubt, uncertainty, and pressures to perform come at us, something happens called complacency, right, Jason?
Right.
And complacency will kill us. It will kill fighter pilots who aren't prepared and passionate, and it will kill businesses and partners and relationships. So I want you, listener, to really focus in on what you need to do to push it up every single day. Most importantly, going back to what I said in the beginning that leaders do, is to think about who's depending on you. And Colonel Hyatt and I were dependent on each other in combat, and every one of those men and women who I flew with, we were all dependent on each other to go full power, to face our fears, execute the game plan, and help each other dodge missiles and perhaps take out targets and maybe airborne threats.
Now, if there's one thing that a fighter pilot is known for, it's their meticulous preparation and planning. Can you share a little bit about your preparation as a fighter pilot and how it can relate to people on a day-to-day basis?
Sure. So I'm going to show a picture of a cockpit on the screen here, and the words mission ready. Mission ready in the Air Force meant that you were MR, confident in your skills, confident to land the plane. God forbid an engine failure happened, a missile was being launched at you, or a wing fell off, God forbid. It would be kind of hard to fly the plane there, but it's happened where F-15s lost a wing and still were able to land. But if you look at this cockpit, you look at the technologies, the stores management system, the radar, look at that thing. You think your Salesforce CRM is tough? I mean, this is crazy, right? And so constant upgrades, constant technology. And the F-16, once again, learning how to use all these weapon systems it was extremely sophisticated. And so one of the things that I think is very important for us to use, especially in this world of changing technologies and tools and virtual selling and Sandler systems and value proposition and leveraging LinkedIn and social media and figuring out the situational awareness. So you show up to a prospect or maybe looking for a referral with your team or looking for a partner, you're prepared. You're courageous, you're competent only because you put in the time. And so fighter pilots are maniacal about studying, preparation, briefing every mission, having high achievable goals, and finally holding each other accountable for getting the work done. So I would challenge everyone who's watching this to really think about where in your life, in your business, you can be a little bit more mission ready, leveraging the technologies, which is an important wingman these days, leveraging the new tools and strategies and tactics on how to sell, how to provide value, how to nurture rapport and connection and trust, so that, God forbid, an engine failure comes or a missile gets launched, you can land and execute. So we are maniacal about training. I'll leave you on this segment with a quote: the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in battle. The more you sweat, the less you bleed. And so the most credible, competent fighter pilots I flew with weren't necessarily the ones with the best personalities or the guy or gal you'd want to drink a beer or play poker with. They were the ones who studied and trained and prepared. Finally, it's not just about the tactics, Jason, not just tactics in commercial real estate, but also in how to be a better communicator, how to work on your health and fitness, how to retool your mindset. What books are you reading? What seminars are you attending? What coaching are you acquiring from peers? What are you investing in? Personal development spans so far beyond the cockpit in our business. And like I said before, green smoothies, working out, positive motivation, listening to good things, hanging around with good people who lift me up and encourage me. That's also part of your preparation, my friends. So don't be so myopic in your life that it's all about business. Our business impacts our personal life, and our personal life and what we do and our relationships with our partners and our health and fitness and our mindset impact our business as well.
So speaking of which, can you share an experience in which you guided your flight when visibility was poor?
When the weather is really, really bad, we fly in close formation, or we fly radar-assisted trail departure, radar trail, like maybe 2 to 5 miles away from each other. We lock each other up in the plane, and then we fly in the weather. But sometimes if you're already in close formation and the weather changes really, really quickly, or if your wingman or wingman has a radar problem or a system malfunction, or maybe some type of emergency, you have to fly in close fingertip formation. So imagine 2 F-16s flying 3 to 5 feet away from each other, right? In the clouds. And let's say I'm flying here, this is me, and I don't have a radar, or I have a malfunction in my plane and I can't see the horizon. I'm depending on this wingman to fly me through the weather to get me to land at the home field. And so we have to get used to flying in close proximity of each other through clouds. And this leader has to be a stable platform, has to be predictable, not too abrupt, right? Making quirky, fast maneuvers. Whoa, I can't see you. And what happens sometimes, if you're flying in such thick weather and clouds, you can go lost wingman. You could literally lose sight of the person 3 to 5 feet away from you. And that's not good. So flight lead, stable, predictable, smooth, and mellow. Wingman, fly off the wings, stay in position, breathe as easy as possible, and pray you get the hell out of that weather or deal with that emergency as much as you can. Now, when it relates to you as a leader, leading your wingman or wingman through turbulent times, through change and uncertainty? Are you a predictable leader? Are you, so, untrained or undisciplined that they never know where you're coming from day to day? Are you not connecting and really supporting your wingman through this uncertain time? And so it's really, really important for you to be that asset to your teammates, to lead them through that turbulence, and to be predictable and smooth and not too abrupt. I'm a New Yorker, so I could be pretty abrupt at times, right? But in the same sense, and I mean that facetiously, but I also mean it seriously, because, hey, I'm a father. I've got a partner, a spouse, my wife. I've got to be a stable platform, because as the leader of my family, in many ways, they need to be able to come to me for help in case they have an engine failure or flying through some weather. And I got to say, I got you. I'm going to lead you through those tough times. Last and not least on this subject is, you may have an engine failure and you may be flying through some serious turbulence, and you may need to find that flight lead, the man or woman in your life who you can latch on to and say, hey, can you take me through these tough times? I need help. Mayday, mayday. To be vulnerable and transparent enough to say, I can't fly through this weather on my own. I need you to lead me. Will you help me? And then sticking it for the ride and trusting that flight lead to lead you through the weather and take you out the other side. And isn't that what's so important, especially what you do as an association leader, and the people who who are watching this, who have family members and partners and clients and peers and maybe coworkers who are dependent on them. And maybe you as the leader, you're dealing with a crap storm in life. So ask for help. Build those relationships with those trusted partners now, before the missiles and chaos and bad weather comes, so that if it does happen, you can call out for help, let them guide you into land, and you're going to pay that forward in the future when the skies clear up.
It's team collaboration, and
Roger
one
that.
of the chapters in your book, this is one of my favorite, is called Walk the Flight Line, where you share a lesson about appreciating your fellow wingmen.
So look, when I was a fighter pilot, we have a tendency to be pretty cocky, right? Going to the Air Force Academy, flying one of the top fighters in the world, being the tip of the spear, it's easy to get a little egotistical. And I was a victim of that, just like many folks were. But it wasn't because I did it intensely. I had to be so intense and so disciplined and prepared every mission. Sometimes I forgot about all the other folks that were working with me and for me. So I remember strapping it to my jet, flying a training mission one day, and I cranked up the engine, and I noticed it was shorted 500 pounds of fuel. Now, 500 pounds of fuel may not seem like a big deal, but it was enough to cut that training mission short by around 5 minutes. And I would also be at a disadvantage with less fuel. It was a big deal on certain missions, but in the end of the day, it was relatively common. But I didn't care about the reasons why the jet was shorted, the air in the tank and the anomaly in the gauge. All I knew was that 25-year-old kid, right out of technical school training, whose job it was to fuel that jet, probably messed up. Maybe he was being complacent. Maybe he wasn't having the attention to detail and the discipline needed to be my wingman and fuel that jet. Maybe he was pulling it back that day instead of pushing it up. So I went what we call New York on him, which is Brooklyn, not Buffalo, right? And I chewed him out, cursed at him, was abusive and disrespectful. I was not a wingman. And I went out and flew the jet. Fuel wound up not even being a factor. We beat the heck out of the enemy. I taxied into the hangar feeling like King Kong. And I noticed that my commander was waiting on the tarmac at the end of the jet. Now in the Air Force, Jason, when your boss meets you at the plane after a mission, it normally means something's wrong at home. And so I got nervous. Were my parents in the hospital? Was my twin brother sick? jumped on the tarmac and he said, "Come with me." So I knew at that moment that it had nothing to do with my family. And then he asked me, he said, "Waldo, you know how long that young kid was working on your jet, the one that you chewed out today?" Excuse me. I said, "Of course I do, sir. Come on." And he said, "No, you don't. You don't know a darn thing, Waldo. I want you to find your oldest flight suit and put it on tomorrow morning and walk the flight line with these kids and spend a 12-hour day out there and see what they go through every single day so that they can make your jet mission ready and you can go fly that F-16 and do the coolest job in the world." I saluted, got up at the crack of dawn the next morning, and I walked the flight line with these young kids and did inspections on fuel tanks and in the intake of that F-16. And I didn't realize at that moment that everything I did up there had everything to do with what they did down here. And I was cocky and disrespectful and was wrong. And I became very humbled walking around that flight line, working my tail off. And I didn't really have a clue what they did because I was the captain, like I said. I didn't realize that they were the unsung heroes in that squadron. But instead, I was selling them out. So basically, I went up to that kid. I found him and I said, "Hey, man, I'm sorry for going off on you. And I'll work on being a better wingman." And I shook his hands and didn't discount the fact that he may have messed up. Maybe it was because he was not doing his job correctly. But at the end of the day, it didn't give me the right to show him disrespect. And so I worked on building that relationship, that trust, that connection, that collaboration piece, one handshake and conversation at a time. And I don't know if I ever got that kid's trust back. As we all know, trust is tough to gain, but easy to lose. So find out those unsung heroes in your life. Who are the ones in the trenches, turning the wrenches on your squadron, on your gear, on your business, dotting the I's and crossing the T's? Be it your partners, your service providers, your administrative assistant, your accountants, whoever it is, and find a way to notice the good that they do. Fill bank accounts before bank accounts. Fill their jets with the most important fuel of performance, which is appreciation. And that's what walking the flat line taught me. And what I try to do now more than ever, because man, there's a whole bunch of other folks in my life who've given me the courage, skills, and support for me to go out there and make a great living as a keynote speaker and as an executive coach. Previously, you had mentioned Mayday, and you referred to Mayday as the wingman's call to action. And most people are afraid to ask for help. And in a world of egos and tough business environments, how do you convince people that it's okay to ask for help? So, like I said before, we're all going to have blind spots. We're all going to wake up with uncertainty and doubt and paralyzed in the fear, the hanger of doubt and uncertainty, when we should be airborne and flying. And for some people, they think that asking for help is a sign of weakness. They think that people are going to judge them. They think that they're not going to be considered a reliable source. And that's not to say you should be going to help to anybody, right? You don't want to go to help from the people that you're supporting, right? They're going to lose confidence and faith in you. So you've got to build this armament, this squadron of Top Gun peers, supervisors, mentors, and coaches, maybe outside of your industry, who you can finally take your mask off and be vulnerable with. And the only way you can build confidence to do that is by taking a risk and stepping out of your comfort zone and realizing that the consequences of asking for help are more often going to solidify a connection, humanize you, and make you more the type of person that others can come to for help. Because the strength and resilience that you gain when you nurture a relationship with somebody who really lifted you up, who you've given them the blessing of helping you and the joy that's incumbent upon helping somebody, it's a gift. And you're discounting yourself, and you're destroying your ability to overcome obstacles and fears because your ego is getting in the way. And so being approachable and coachable and approaching others and calling out to them for help truly is a sign of a courageous leader, because you're able to subjugate your ego to the needs, not just of you, somebody who needs to be a better leader, but realizing that by you improving, you improve your team. By you becoming more of a health and fitness focused individual, you have more energy to give to your children, to your business. By you learning new tools and technologies, this whole office here that I have, my microphone, my lights, my camera, this wasn't me just coming up with these answers out of the blue. It was because I reached into this beautiful phone and called some buddies of mine who I nurtured relationships with over the years, and they lent their wings to me, humbled me, and gave me the graciousness of their service to put this camera together and the lighting and all that. And so there's two things that I want you to do. I want you to take with honor. Take. And you take after you ask for help with honor. And taking with honor means you're going to be appreciative of those folks who've helped you. You're going to write them a thank you card, give them a gift, give them a referral, fill their heart with appreciation through your gratitude, which these days is so important. And you're not going to pick their brain. You're going to massage their mind. You're going to find a way to nurture that relationship. But you're taking with honor because at the end of the day, you know in your heart of hearts that you're going to give with honor, meaning you're going to give that advice and support and encouragement and hope that that person gave you to others in your life. You're going to pay it forward. You're not going to be greedy in expecting thank yous and gifts and gratitude from them, because some people at the end of the day just aren't going to show it. You're going to coach that young kid like I did a few weeks ago, who contacted me because he was struggling with depression in his life and he was having anxiety attacks. And I spent an hour or two with him on the phone on a weekend, just coaching him and trying to lift him up. And I'm not saying that just to show you that I'm a giver and stuff that I do. It's just sharing it. Like I didn't post that on social media. I didn't say, hey, by the way, everybody, this is what I did to help other people out. Right. It's because it's what we do, right? We serve, we give. So take with honor, knowing that in your heart of hearts, you're going to give with honor. And I think that's a good way for you to just realize that it's okay to ask for help as long as you're helping others in the process. On the ladder of life, you got to have a hand up and seek somebody who's going to lift you up and take you to the next level. And you do this by also having a hand down and lifting others up. Right. If you're just one of these people, reaching for somebody to help you and forgetting about lifting others up in the process, that is not equity. That is not true collaboration. And so think about how you can give and ask, help and serve, lift, and get pulled up as well.
It's create a collaborative culture, be dependable, and be able to depend on people and be loyal. Now, you've donated a majority of the proceeds of Never Fly Solo to the veterans in need. How can we better support our veterans in our own communities?
A couple things for you. Number one, you don't need to wear a uniform to serve. You can do it in your communities and your business and your families every single day. I know folks who are watching this, I've served for 25 plus years, 65 missions, combat, the whole 9 yards. And you may say, hey, Waldo, we appreciate your service. Thank you for your service. How do you thank folks? Hire them, give to a church or a charity, find a way to help a struggling soldier who's now transitioning to the civilian world with some references, with some coaching, maybe offer them an opportunity. We normally have the work ethic and the disciplines necessary to win. We just need to get trained, right? The training is the easy part. It's that internal, the blood and character that is the hardest to train somebody on. But even more important than that, for those of you who are thinking, how do I thank a veteran? Here's my advice to you. If you want to say thank you to the veterans who fight for our country, then be the type of American worth fighting for. Wake up every day with honor and integrity. Look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? I may not be carrying an M16 or flying an F-16, but I'm a good steward to my community. I'm giving to my church and charity. I'm honoring my community. I'm doing things behind the scenes, mentoring, coaching, helping, not for a Facebook like or an accolade or a way to gain business, but because it's the right thing to do. And this is why I believe you don't need to wear a uniform to serve. You do it in your communities every day. And that's how you can make a guy like me and all of our troops, past, present, and future, proud to serve despite seeing flags burnt on TV and despite seeing the negativity that's given towards our country and maybe towards the troops. So that's an important thing to think about when it comes to paying it forward. You know, be the type of person worth fighting for, and I guarantee you'll feel a lot better about the sacrifices that our soldiers are making every day.
Well, we appreciate your time with us. Just to summarize, to go over a few of the acronyms and the phrases that you used: push it up, focus, energy, commitment. Did we talk about win, work it now?
Work it now. Yeah, that's what winners do. We don't put it off tomorrow. We do it today. We work it now. We sweat and sacrifice. There's no delay when it comes to a champion.
And we talked about fear, focus energy, accept responsibility. We talked about check 6, break right, walk the flight line, which is one of my favorite, and then Mayday, Mayday. You know, one of the 3 most important words in life are "I need help." And I need help right now because I think my coat's on fire.
Hey, for those folks that want to get in touch with me, though, for the folks who want to get in touch with me, if you want to get a download to my audiobook, Never Fly Solo, I'm going to offer it free. It's $20 on Audible. And like I said, it's a New York Times bestseller. If you go to that website, yourwingman.com/NFS, put your name and email address in, you'll be able to get that. And you'll also get a couple of videos on being mission ready. I believe you'll get those after downloading the book. You can share them with your team. And then LinkedIn is right there. If you take out your phone and open up your camera, that's a QR code to connect with me. I do a lot of work on LinkedIn. I post there a couple of times a week, maybe a wing tip that you can learn and garner some information from there. And then all my information's there on social media, Waldo Waldman. There's my website. Email is info@yourwingman.com. So that's it in a nutshell. But yeah, the key is to give your wings away, folks. Check each other's 6. Remember, at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with asking for help. But also remember that it's about the joy and the love of the fight and the thrill of victory and the future of possibility that we're fighting for today. Not the negativity, not the enemy, not the competitors or the missiles of fear, but focus on the joy. Focus on the love. You see a picture of my little guy back there, my son, Ace. He's an amazing little guy. The last statement I'm going to share with you is lose sight, lose fight. If you lose sight of your wingman, you're going to lose the fight. And if you lose sight of what you love, you're going to lose the fight. Stay visible on what you love every day, your partners, your family, the people who need you. And I guarantee you'll stay mission ready in the cockpit and keep pushing up the throttle to win. It's been an honor to fly with you, Jason, and teammates, and I look forward to staying in touch.
Colonel Waldman, thank you so much.